right, we are going to talk about revising today. And it is so important that you revise your essays and really everything that you write before you submit it. So I have a PowerPoint that's going to take you through some things to think about as you're revising, some things that you know, like that come to mind probably when you think about revising, like grammar and proofreading for run-ons and fragments and things like that. But I also, and even more importantly, want you to revise for content and make sure that you followed the writing process, right? The writing process, say what you're going to say it, and then say what you said. So you're also going to look for that continuity and that unity through your paper. So let's look at that PowerPoint together. Okay. The first thing that you're going to look for is MLA. Did you submit everything in MLA? So you have the heading there. That's what your heading should look like, your title, the font, Times New Roman, 12-point font, 1-inch margins with your last name and the page number in the header. That's the only thing that's in the header. And then your works cited at the end if you need one. For this essay, you should not need a works cited unless you have decided to use a quote in your intro or conclusion paragraph. And just to give credit real quick, Professor Brewer is the one who created this. She's no longer working full-time at SBC, but she made this and it's awesome, so I love it. But this is an example of what MLA should look like. So does your paper look like this? If it doesn't, then identify the parts that you're missing or need to change. Okay, and that's what the works cited should look like. Again, you shouldn't need that for this essay, but if you did. Okay, so now you're going to be looking for several different things. So make a key at the top, identifying what colors you're going to use for what. If you see something that needs to be changed, make yourself a note about it. You're probably not going to remember. There will be several things that you'll change as you're working on your essay. And please go ahead and have your essay out and work through this PowerPoint with me. That's kind of what I would like for you to do. And then you can make those changes as we're going along, and then you can email me if you have any questions or if anything is not clear. So pause it, get out your essay, and come back. Okay, so one color, maybe you use blue or yellow or whatever, you're going to identify your thesis statement, right? So you're going to highlight your thesis statement in yellow or whatever color. Does it have a main idea, right? You should circle that. Does it have the key points? You're going to label them KP1, KP2, KP3. And is it the last sentence of your introduction? Right? All of those things should be there. So identify that. Okay, then you're looking at your introduction as a whole. You're looking at your title. Is it interesting? Does it make me want to read your essay? Don't worry about this academic title part, okay? I just care that you have an interesting title. Do you include an introductory hook? Do you have a couple of sentences that draw the reader in? Do you use an author's full name on first reference? Again, you shouldn't really need that in this one unless you have a quote, because we're just talking about growth and fixed mindset. Do you lead your reader to the thesis statement? So again, remember you should be smoothly moving, transitioning carefully throughout your paper. So make sure that you're doing that. And also for our essay specifically, I want to see that you have the definition of fixed and growth mindset and then the introduction, and then your 3 examples of fixed and growth mindset. Okay, now skip over to the conclusion. Does your conclusion begin with in summation or in conclusion, right? We don't need those. Do you include a restatement of the thesis? That should be your first sentence. See, it's at the top of the pyramid, right, of your paragraph. So restate your thesis. You need to look for that restatement, highlight it the same color as your thesis statement in the intro paragraph. This is to help you see the connection between those 2 sentences. Did you include a so what, right? That last sentence of your conclusion. Why is it important for your reader to consider your understanding of idea of growth and fixed mindset And what ways did you give a new or enlightened perspective of those ideas? So that's kind of what the so what is all about. Okay, so now you're going to highlight and label your topic sentences same color, right? Because they should be directly linked to your thesis statement. Okay, so your topic sentence is the first sentence of the paragraph, and it should act as a summary of the paragraph. Everything that you're talking about in that paragraph should be covered by the topic sentence. No quotations in the topic sentence. It's not a transition sentence. It should set up and provide focus for the paragraph. Are the key points presented in the same order as listed in the thesis? So look back at your thesis statement, and is the first one that you talked about in your thesis statement your first topic sentence? So those should match. It is major points off if you do not have good unity throughout your paper, right? So you need to make sure that you have the same order listed in the thesis as are in your body paragraphs. Key points listed in the thesis, there are all the key points listed in the thesis their own paragraph. Just means you should have 3 body paragraphs. Key points are the way we prove our main idea. So are there any key points not listed in the thesis? And then finally, how can you make it better? Now, for all of this, right, if you were like, check, 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 yes, I did all of that thing, I did all of that right, then I want you to focus on the question, how can you make it better? Okay, so can you build a sentence that's a little bit clearer? Can you take out some adjectives that you don't need? How can you make it better? Okay, we're not going to talk too much about order, but now that you have identified your topic sentence, does each sentence in the paragraph relate to the topic sentence? So keep your finger on the topic sentence and then read your second sentence. Does it support your topic sentence? And then your third sentence, does it support your topic sentence? So you're going to go back and forth every time coming back to your topic sentence. Read your quotations too if you have any in there, which you shouldn't, because this isn't a quotation essay. But if you cannot read a direct connection between this topic sentence and the sentence in the paragraph, you're missing something, because every sentence in that paragraph should link back to your topic sentence because it covers everything you're talking about. Okay? Does each sentence transition smoothly to the next? Does it sound good the way they flow together? Make sure you're not being redundant or circular, saying the same thing in just 2 ways, right? That shouldn't be an issue in this one because you're kind of telling me a story in each paragraph, but you do want to make sure that each part of the story that you're sharing goes back to your point about how this is a growth mindset example or a fixed mindset example, or you used to have fixed mindset about this and now you have growth. So make sure that all of your sentences support that thesis statement. Topic sentence. Okay, paragraph level transitions. So you are going to transition from one paragraph to the next between your body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2 and body paragraph 3, right? Nothing after body paragraph 3. But highlight those transition sentences in a separate color. So if you use yellow, now you use blue or something like that. We have that on our outline, right? That's something that we did together in class. So you should have your transition sentence on there and be able to see how you can put it in, how it shows up as the last sentence in your paragraph. So look for that. Make sure that it's in there. If it's not, put it in there. If it's there, can you make it better? Okay, so now you're going to pick one paragraph of your body paragraphs to revise. Put a star next to it. I would suggest you use your strongest paragraph. Now, couple questions before we dive in. Is a paragraph too long? It needs to be no more than 2/3 of a typed page. Or is it too short? Shouldn't be less than half a page. So answer those questions. And then you're going to read through your paragraph to make sure that when you're moving on to a new example, you're giving your reader a signal. Can't think that this would be something that you would do in this paragraph, but I do want you to just read through your sentences out loud and make sure that they flow well together. And if they don't, then add in some transitions. You're going to check your sentence structure and length. Do you vary your sentence length? So count how many sentences are in your paragraph and then count how many words are in each sentence. And you want to have some variety. And that's really just because that sentence variety is a hallmark of good writing. And so you want to have long sentences, and you want to have super long sentences, and you want to have medium sentences, and you want to have short sentences, and make sure that you are having different lengths. And then I want you to look at each opening. And this is really because we kind of develop a crutch when we're writing often, and we say the same thing or say things in the same way every time. So I want you to look at how you begin each sentence, underline the first 4 to 6 words, and is that different? Because again, you're wanting that variety. So if you have a lot of subject-verb at the beginning, then change it up and add a prepositional phrase at the beginning, or add a dependent clause at the beginning or something, so that you're changing up how you begin your sentences. Again, variety. Circle, highlight any vague constructions like this, that, these, those, it, and a verb. It's not the best, right? We're just trying to make our writing stronger. You can always add a specific noun to make it clearer. Again, we're wanting to be clear. Now that you read the sentence with the word, without the word, is it necessary, should be removed. Really, the tighter that your writing is, usually the better that it is. And so if you're finding yourself like in the 800 to 1,000 word range for this essay, then you need to look at your sentences and cut them down. Okay? Make sure you remove any second, first person collective pronouns. That's not true for this one. Sorry. We are going to have first person pronouns in this story, but you should not have second person pronouns. You're telling your story, you're not telling my story. So make sure you don't have you, your. It's easy to say, well, and you should know that fixed mindset is part of everybody's story and we can improve, or something like that. That's not what we want to do, right? So be consistent with your voice and stick with that first person. Slang words. Even though you're writing this essay in first person, this is not an informal, like you're talking to your friend, essay, okay? It should still have a more academic voice. So if you are talking in using slang or informal words like you would be talking to a friend, I want you to take those out and switch it for something that is more formal, more like you're talking to your teacher. We also don't want any contractions. So if we've got any contractions in there, spell out those words. Again, that's just a formal tone issue. Okay, some quick MLA reminders, literary titles. You shouldn't have to worry about that. You shouldn't have to worry about text citation or works cited. But if you do, that's in there for you. We'll talk more about those when we have our argumentative paper. Even actually in our next essay, we'll do some in-text quotations. Okay, so power proofreading. You're going to read your sentence from the last sentence to the first, and we talked a little bit about this when you read your summary rough draft to me, but just the importance of reading out loud when you're proofreading, and you caught lots of errors that you didn't catch when you read it through the first time. So reading backwards does that too. Because again, your brain can't fill in those mistakes for you. So read your paper backward, out loud, and you will catch some proofreading errors that you have missed. Look especially for those fragments, run-ons, few sentences. Those are the big point deductors on your grammar section of your essay. But even still, and this is like just a point that I want to make, the way that our rubric is set up, you can have 20 fragments, run-ons, and you can still make a B. But if you put your second body paragraph as your first body paragraph, right, from like your thesis and your body paragraphs don't match up, you lose a letter grade. automatically. If you don't have a conclusion, you lose the letter grade automatically. And so really in the rubric, that cohesion, the unity, that you said what you're going to say, you said it, and then you said what you said, that is way more important point-wise than how many run-ons you get. And so as you're revising your paper, keep that in mind, that it's super important that you have a good thesis and that you match that thesis to what you're talking about. So anyway, good luck. Let me know if you have any questions, and I can't wait to see your papers.